The recording.
Recording in progress. Okay. Welcome everyone. Let me share my screen. Um, can everyone see the cute?
Oh, it is cute, Katie. Real quick before you get started, I just wanted to introduce myself and Katie. I'm the membership chair of the Behavioral Health Nutrition DPG, and Katie is our awesome eating disorder resource professional. So she is hosting our office hours this day. We appreciate it. And you can go ahead. Introduce yourself more, obviously, if you want to.
Definitely will. It's in a slide. Hi. Hi everyone. Today we're going to just touch base on polyvagal theory and eating patterns and how that interlays with eating disorders. Polyvagal theory is a really great way to kind of explain those interoceptive feelings that we have in our body and the effects that it has then on our digestive system. So, I'm presenting with Canva for the first time, so I apologize as I'm navigating this. Oh, okay, I love that transition. So hi everyone, I'm Katie. I'm the eating disorder resource professional for BHN. And so my role is to help members gain access to resources and tools that are commonly found within the eating disorder scope and practice, as well as creating any sort of adjacent support. So working with our substance use disorder professional and mental health professional and the, goodness gracious, what is the last one?
Sorry, addictions, mental health, eating
Yes.
disorders, and IDD.
IDD, yes. Okay, I thank you. So all of working all together. Looks like we have someone else coming into the waiting room. Okay, cool. So if you're ever looking for information, posting on the discussion board, and I'm working with other resource professionals too, and supporting with BHN. Okay, so let's get started on first touching base on the nervous system. I know we all dove right in to the nervous system with our physiology and anatomy courses in college, but like that was a hot second ago. So we have our autonomic nervous system. And so you might be familiar with the sympathetic and parasympathetic components of the nervous system. And so this interlays with the parasympathetic nervous system. There's specific complexes within it. One is the ventral and one is the dorsal nervous vagal complexes. And so the role of the nervous system and these complexes is in regulation of systems such as breathing, digestion, heart rate and blood pressure, arousal, and reflexes. And so there is the vagus nerve. And if you've heard of like vagal toning or vagus nerve innervation, this is all that same nerve. And so this nerve stems from the cranial nerve X, which is 10, that connects to the brain, connects from the brain, to the gut and other essential organs. And so what does it innervate? It's somatic, so skins and muscles, as well as some visceral organs. And so that includes the stomach, which is why you might have a relationship with the vagus nerve and something like gastroparesis. And so what is the intention of this nerve? It's a highway system between vital and non-vital organs to the brain and maintaining homeostasis in the body. And so if this nerve is damaged, things that a person might experience is difficulty with speaking, loss or change of their voice, difficulty swallowing, loss of their gag reflex. They may experience low blood pressure, slow or a fast heart rate, changes in their digestive process, nausea or vomiting, abdominal pain or bloating, and depression and anxiety in people with breathing problems or heart disease. And so I really underlined and highlighted the things that we might really focus on as dietitians with shifts and changes with that nerve. And so let's dive right into polyvagal theory. So polyvagal theory is honoring this nervous system is the integration of the nervous system in the daily activities and activation responses. And so with working with our clients, we're encouraging using skills and healing practices to bring down these levels of activation. We have our very, very activated friend looking at his creative board on Pinterest, not quite sure what to write. So there's different states that our nervous system can be in. And I'm going to go from least activated to most activated. So we have our safe state, which is where we're really able to ground. We are effective communicators, and we have some social engagement. So our parasympathetic nervous system is activated, and or the ventral vagal complex. And let's say there's an activator, and so our body then becomes mobilized. There's a perceived threat noted, and we're also able to move away from that threat. Our body knows that we have the capacity to move away, and so this is our sympathetic nervous system becoming activated, that fight or flight. And then we have our immobilized, which is a different layer of activation, and this is where our body knows that I really can't move away. And so in order to create safety, I'm going to shut down the process of different pathways in my body to really bring down that perceived threat and avoid those really strong feelings. So this is our dorsal vagal complex becoming activated from the parasympathetic nervous system. So I'm going to go into each one. Oh, there we go. I'm going to go into each one. So when the body is feeling safe, we have a decrease in our blood pressure, a decrease in our heart rate, and a decrease in defensive responses. If we're thinking about having a conversation with friends, we aren't going to be defensive. We're here to communicate, relax, find community, things like that. And in this state, we also have an increase in digestion, increases in gastrointestinal mobility. So our body's ability to move food through with peristalsis and creating digestive enzymes. We have an increase in our immune response, increase in blood flow to non-vital systems, increase in oxytocin, increase in our breathing, and porosity in the tone of our voice. So we're very open to play, and we're feeling very, very present, and connection is easily accessible to us. So the body truly feels at rest and is at safe. But let's say there's an activation and we become mobilized. So this is that fight or flight response. So we will have an increase in our blood pressure because our body is registering there is a perceived threat, increasing our heart rate. Our body then taps into our fuel stores. Hello, liver, and stored glycogen in our muscles. We have an increase in our adrenaline, in our cortisol, increase in circulation to our vital organs, which is our heart, lungs, and brain, and an increase in defensive responses. So we're a lot more sensitive in our awareness around us. And then consequently, we have a decrease in digestion, a decrease in insulin activity, decrease in relational availability, which can lead to a lot of gastrointestinal discomfort and poor GI motility. So I like to think about clients who feel really activated with a food or an experience or an exposure and how they might be in a mobilized response. So they might have poor digestion because they are stressed out about tortilla chips. And that's okay. And then we have our immobilized state. So this is that dorsal ventral complex, and that's that activation really getting to that point of freeze zone. We're immobilized with fear, and our body's actually releasing endorphins to deal with pain, and our body's really pushing to conserve our metabolism. And so what we might see is a decrease in heart rate, breath, digestion, temperature, muscle and facial tone, social behaviors, sexual arousal, and our immune response. So these clients might really be retracted in themselves, and they might even be experiencing levels of disassociation. And so what does the top of this say? I have the Zoom thing. Oh, trauma to the nervous system. So we know trauma, whether it's a lowercase t or a capital T, can have various effects on the body. And so with trauma, it can disrupt our interoception, so awareness of what's going on in our body. It can decrease the tolerance threshold, which I'll go over in a second, and increases our hypervigilance and awareness to threats. So for a lot of folks struggling with disordered eating or an eating disorder, often we find an overlay with trauma. And so knowing that we have an elevation in our nervous system and a decrease in awareness of what's going on can be really hard for clients to ground. And so this is a really great photo that I like to share with clients. When we're in that social engagement, this is, let's just say, like a person without any sort of trauma disruption in the brain, on the brain, in the body. And so there's joy. Folks are feeling present. They feel grounded. They're curious. They're compassionate, and they have a lot of mindfulness. They're able to practice mindfulness skills. But let's say there is tortilla chips in the room. I've just decided tortilla chips today are my topic. And so for flight, we're going to be focused a lot more on that worry, concern, leveling up to anxiety, fear, panic. And so we're really trying to focus on moving away, running away from that feeling. Or we might be in that fight mode where we're moving towards it. Okay, we feel frustrated, irritation, anger, rage. And as that gets up to a boiling point, that level of overwhelm or even meltdown, it goes from I can handle this to I can't handle this. And so there's a variation in what someone might experience, but helplessness, depression, numbing out, disassociation, feelings of shame, huge. There might be someone just completely shutting down, feeling hopeless, even preparing for death. And so really we're focused on how can we bring down someone from disassociation to feeling numb, to feeling really sad and depressed, levels of helplessness, and get them from that I can't to I can, and then from I can to I'm not activated anymore. And so if someone has experienced trauma, this window of that social engagement, that threshold, becomes minimized. And so that level of activation is really, really present in its in the person's body. I'm very pleased with my drawing here of lines. Pressing the space bar, it's on the space bar at the top. So when we're eating, we rely on our functional GI system. So we know our GI system creates digestive juices, provides mechanics of digestion with peristalsis. Eating also needs blood flow. And it also needs hormones. So if this nervous system becomes activated, of course, what happens, our body focuses on the safety. So our body knows if I can't focus on eating if I don't feel safe. So our nervous system needs to regulate with eating patterns before it can even begin to think about digestion in the body. So for someone that is feeling incredibly activated, they're likely to experience some of the following: gastrointestinal dumping, diarrhea, constipation, abdominal pain, bloating, cramps, nausea, unintentional vomiting even. And so they might express that they have an allergy or a sensitivity to a food, but it really could be their nervous system just becoming activated instead. And so in the moment with an activated client, we really want to focus on de-escalating with skills that they find effective for them. So looking at interoception awareness and proprioception awareness of what they can do to bring themselves back from a high level of anxiety to lower levels of anxiety. So a client might find a lot of benefit with writing things down as they're experiencing it. They might find help with co-regulation. So you being the calm body in the room. They might really enjoy distraction. I have various kinds of distraction over on the side. Spending time with pets, playing guitar, reading, watching a movie on your phone or computer. They might benefit with sensory play, some sort of object to hold in their hands to squeeze and mobilize that energy. They might work with you on self awareness. So, tapping in and tuning into what are those feelings, what are those emotions? And that's very much in tune with how can I then be compassionate to that emotion? And is there any mindfulness techniques that I can bring into this space? And then focusing on breathing and breath work. We know by breathing and focusing on breathing, we can also bring down that level of activation with the nervous system, since that is something that becomes affected with activation. So that's all I have. I did not put my phone number on here, but if you have more questions, feel free to stay on here and let me know. If there's something immediately that pops up for you and you're like, I need to know a little bit more, um, that's my email. If not, you can also post on the BHN discussion board or find us on Instagram and shoot us a message on there. Um,
You
yeah,
usually do, I think. Are you willing to share the slides or at least that image, I think, with the bell curve? I think that would be really helpful. Can that get added to the discussion board?
definitely. I was planning to post these slides after the talk.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome.
cool.
Anything else real quick before I shut off the recording?
I think that's all.
Okay, awesome. I'm gonna stop the recording.